What would you do if you found yourself in a situation where you were humiliated for being who you are, for the color of your skin, your clothing, or your origin? Imagine walking into a car dealership, confident and excited about making an important purchase, only to be greeted with disdain. They treat you as if you're not worthy of being there. They look you up and down, make you feel small, and everything you expected to do becomes a humiliating experience. That's exactly what happened to Maya, a black woman who entered a dealership hoping to buy a luxury car. But what she didn't know was that the dealership manager had a very distorted view of who deserves to be in such a place. The surprise came the next day when Maya returned in a Rolls-Royce, driven by her millionaire husband. What had started as a humiliation ended up as a lesson about the power of resilience, dignity, and justice. But what happened at that dealership was much more than just revenge. It was a reminder that prejudice, though ignorant, always has consequences. And this time, the manager would learn it in the most impactful way. Discrimination doesn't always show up in an obvious way. In many cases, it hides in small gestures, in looks, in words that seem harmless, but are actually burdens of prejudice disguised as normalcy. What happened to Maya wasn't an isolated case. It's a story that repeats itself again and again in different corners of the world, with different characters. What the manager didn't know was that, by trying to belittle Maya based on her appearance, he was making a fatal mistake. Because a person's value is not in how they look on the outside, but in what they carry inside. Their history, their achievements, their sacrifices. Maya wasn't there to be judged, but to make a purchase. And, in the end, she was going to prove to everyone that respect is not something you buy, but something you demand. It all started when Maya, dressed in simple clothing and not showing off, decided to go to a car dealership in search of a luxury vehicle. She had worked hard for years and felt that it was time to treat herself, something that represented her personal success. When she entered the dealership, she was greeted by a salesman who seemed indifferent, as if she were just another person among the many who come and go every day. Maya didn't pay much attention to it. After all, she was used to being looked at differently because of her skin color, but she knew she wasn't going to let that affect her purchase. But what happened next left her completely confused. While asking about a specific car model, the dealership manager approached. He didn't offer a friendly smile or a warm welcome. Instead, he looked at her with disdain, as if Maya's presence there was a nuisance. "Can I help you with something?" the manager asked, but his tone was more reproachful than service-oriented. Maya, calmly, explained that she was interested in a luxury car and started asking some questions about the vehicle's features. But every time she did, the manager responded with indifference, as if he were waiting for her to leave quickly. "I think there's some confusion," the manager said while looking at her with a slight smile. "This is a high-end dealership. We're not in the market for economy cars. Maybe you should consider other options." Maya felt uncomfortable, but she tried to stay composed. "I came with the intention of buying a luxury car," she replied, "and I'd like to know more about this model in particular." But instead of receiving an informative response, the manager looked her up and down, paused, and then said, "Maybe another day, when you've had time to think more about what you can really afford." It was clear that he wasn't giving her the opportunity to make her purchase. What Maya didn't know at that moment was that the manager was making decisions based on a completely unfounded prejudice. He was deciding whether or not she could buy a luxury car based solely on her appearance and the race he saw before him. Although affected, Maya kept her calm and stood up. "Thank you, but I don't think I should stay here if I'm not going to receive the treatment I deserve." The manager, seeing that Maya was getting up, gave her one last condescending look. "Maybe next time." Maya left the dealership without saying another word, but something inside her told her she couldn't let it go. The next day, Maya returned to the dealership, but this time she wasn't alone. This time, she arrived with her husband, Jonathan, a successful billionaire who owned several renowned companies. Maya wasn't dressed in simple clothing. She arrived in a Rolls-Royce, one of the most exclusive luxury car brands in the world. The manager, upon seeing the car park in front of him, immediately stood up from his desk, ready to welcome a high-end client, as expected. However, he didn't immediately recognize Maya. He was too focused on the car and the potential sale he could close. Maya, however, knew that this was the perfect moment to show the manager the lesson he would never forget. "Can I help you with something?" the manager asked with his fake smile, unaware that Maya was the same woman he had treated disdainfully the day before. "Yes," Maya calmly replied. "I'd like to speak with the manager." The manager, still not recognizing her, led her to his office, thinking she was a new client. Maya waited for him to sit down, then began to speak. "I'm the same woman who was here yesterday. The one you rejected. The one you didn't consider worthy of buying a luxury car," Maya said, looking him straight in the eyes. The manager was in shock. His smile disappeared, and the color drained from his face. Maya continued, "What you didn't know is that my husband owns this dealership, and that this Rolls-Royce you see here is not just a display of wealth, it's a lesson for you. Because when you decide to judge someone by their appearance, you miss seeing the real story of that person." The manager tried to apologize, but his words were empty. Maya didn't want to hear excuses. She wanted him to understand the seriousness of what he had done. "What you did to me yesterday wasn't just humiliation, it was disrespect," Maya said, her voice firm. "But today I'm showing you. Respect can't be bought, and you can't treat people as if they're worth nothing because of their skin color or what they wear." The manager, feeling he could do no more, remained silent, unable to respond. What Maya showed at that moment was much more than a lesson for the manager. It was a lesson for all of us. True wealth is not measured by what you have, but by how you treat others. Dignity has no price, and no matter what others tell you, you must always remember that your worth is in who you are, not what others think of you. And sometimes, life puts us in situations where we need to remember that in the most impactful way. Maya didn't just get revenge on the manager. She gave him a lesson on humanity and respect. Remember this. Don't let others' opinions define you, because in the end, actions speak louder than words. If this story has made you reflect on the importance of respecting others and not judging people by their appearance, I invite you to follow me. This is just one of many examples of how we can change our mindset and actions to create a fairer and more respectful world. Leave me a comment. Have you ever been judged or treated unfairly just because of your appearance? Share your story, because your voice matters too. Follow me for more content that inspires mindset change, challenges prejudice, and builds a more inclusive future for all. Share this video, and let's remember that everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and respect.